Hello everyone, and welcome to day 55 of my 100-day project. I am in my window of working with acrylics, and one of the things I really love about acrylics, in addition to them being very forgiving, is there's so many different mediums that you can pair with acrylics. You can pair them with watercolor to a certain extent, and certainly with acrylic inks and maybe gouache, any water-based medium really. You could probably use a lot of these mediums with, but they just work really lovely. They're meant to work with acrylic paint. Today, I thought I would pull out some Nova color texture paste. So if you use Golden, I think Golden calls it molding paste. Liquitex calls it modeling paste. Different brands have different names for it, but it's essentially a very, very smooth, creamy medium that you can use to thicken up your paint, and it makes it dimensional and it makes it matte. So it's not a glossy medium by any stretch. And one of the ways that I've used this in the past is on a canvas that has a lot of texture. Maybe it's a super inexpensive, not super high quality canvas. You can put a layer of this texture paste or modeling paste down, smooth it out, and you get a beautifully smooth surface. You can also create really wonderful texture with it as well. And that's what I decided to do today. So I mentioned in a video, I think it was in Pastel maybe, there's a scene from Alice in Wonderland called, it's a song called Golden Afternoon, and I just love it. And so I love doing these flowers with faces in them. Like they're just these little flowery people that live in the garden. Maybe they're what tenders become, these tender figures. I call them garden tenders in my fictitious world. I don't know. I make all this stuff up. But anyway, so I thought I would do a little family of daisy, sunflowery flower people. And I will use that texture paste to do the petals and kind of layer those up. So that was the plan for today. I kept the faces very simple, sort of illustrative. I'm using a pretty big brush. This is a number 10 Simply Simmons, and I need to do a little bit of brush surgery because it's probably one or two hairs that are just sticking out a little bit farther than the rest, and it's making my edges a little bit fuzzy and not in a good way. So I need to fix that after I give it a good clean. But I'm kind of keeping a simple color palette again. I'm using Prussian Blue by Lukas Cryl Studio, which is a student grade paint. Love that line, really inexpensive and great quality. So I'm using Prussian Blue. I'm using Titanium White, as I have been, quinacridone Red, and the Azo Yellow medium. And then I toned the canvas with, I want to say what do they call it? It's a Nova color, orange color. It might be Pyrrole Orange, but it's a really beautiful, bright orange color. And if you look in the sky, I love how it shows through the blue. And so when I was thinking about my color palette, I picked this Prussian Blue because it's got a little bit of white in it. It's a little bit neutral. Prussian Blue can be very vibrant. This particular brand, it's a little bit more neutral, and I thought that would be great to dull down some of these colors because I anticipated the petals of the flowers to be very bright and vibrant. So I wanted my grass foreground to be kind of neutrally, and I wanted my sky to be kind of neutrally to help balance out that vibrancy. And even here, I kind of like it just even as is before I add in any of the texture. But there's the texture paste. So off camera, what I'm doing is on my palette, I'm just using a palette knife to mix it with some paint. And a little paint goes a long way. You can use acrylic ink to tint this. You can keep it white and then paint over it. So you have different options. And what I did is I'm thinking about kind of the same way I paint. I'm starting out with my shadow colors, and then I'll go in and add highlights on top of that. So for the lighter colored flowers, I'm using kind of this greeny color as the shadow, and or for the darker flowers, I'm using that greeny color. And then for this big bright mama flower, I'm kind of using the orange and then the yellow in there. So I just have little piles of this that I've mixed up on my palette on the side. And then once it's dry, you can layer other colors on top of it, and you can paint on top of it. So I do go in and glaze over it at the end. I add some more white for highlights, and I add some of that Prussian blue to help harmonize the colors, but also to give some more shadow. I want the darkest part of the petals to be around the face and along some of the edges to kind of give them some dimension. And so what I'm doing is just using my palette knife to kind of go around. I'm adding a little bit more shadow color now, the darker, closer to the face. And I decided to make that little baby flower kind of reddish, kind of pinky corally red, just to shake it up a little bit. Sibling flower over there on the left is a little over it. They're kind of got the side eye there, which, like, maybe they're the teenager. I don't know. It seemed appropriate. So that's what I love about this, that they all have their own little expressions. And my studio, I need to do a video for you all of what my studio looks like right now, because I have 55 paintings of figures all over the place. And some of them are still drying, the oils. I think most of them are dry to the touch by now. But I've got all, they're just everywhere. So it looks kind of funny. At this point in the painting, I'm adjusting values. All the structures are there. The features are there. I'm just making my lights lighter and my darks darker. And you can see there I'm adding some white paint over the dried texture paste now to bring in some highlights. And I'll do the same with some Prussian blue. I think I do it off camera to just add some shadows around the center of the face. And you'll see when I do a close-up here in a minute, coming in and adding that. So I'm adding some red to deepen up some of those shadows. And it's a really great surface. It's a fun surface to paint on, the texture paste, once it's dry. It absorbs really well. You could put watercolor on top of it, and it would soak up the watercolor. It's kind of porous, so that's kind of a neat thing. And then in the foreground, I wanted to just add a little bit of interest and bring some of those flower colors into the foreground. So I added a little bit of red and yellow, but you can see in the shadows now a little bit of that blue, that Prussian blue, to kind of darken up some of those areas. There's sibling flower, just kind of like, side eye. Baby flowers taking a nap. And mama flowers, keeping an eye, keeping watch for it all. And then I thought I would try and see if I could show you the dimensionality of this paste. I don't know if you can really tell. It's one of those you have to see in person, because it really does stick up off the surface quite a bit. And when I'm working with this type of texture, I do like to work on panels. You can do it on canvas. You just want to be mindful that the heavier the surface on the canvas, the more likely it is to sag over time. It stretches out, it's fabric. So I really like to use either a wood panel or a canvas panel when I know I'm going to use a lot of texture, just so I don't have to worry about it holding up over time, sagging, doing any of that. I needed to get more crackle paste. My other crackle paste dried out. And I want to try that experiment again with the crackle paste in the skin in a figure. So I should have, I'm going to pick up some of that today, and maybe I will do that tomorrow. So stay tuned for that experiment. But I'm pulling out all my mediums, and I'm actually starting on Monday. I start a 3-day class that goes over 3 different weeks where we're diving into acrylic mediums. So it's definitely something I love to play with, and this is a great way to marry all of those things. I hope you are doing well. I hope you have an amazing weekend, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks. Bye.